lemne, abalem lemne, jember otat gavan salsara kunane. Abalem lemne, jember otat gavan salsara kunane.
ArtAid is an organization that brings art education into early childhood education schools in Ethiopia. Government schools don't start in Ethiopia until age 7. And there are a few private schools for the wealthy for early childhood education, but not many, and certainly even middle-class Ethiopians can't afford that. So the government schools then at age 7 are 80 kids to a classroom. I've met several teachers while traveling around, and it's usually a job that they do putting themselves through college. It's not like here where it is a career. It's a year, I think, they have to study before they're certified is all. So it's not a great education even at age 7. And then by grade 7, all education is taught in English. So if these kids don't know English by that point, they can't continue. So when you catch them really young, you start introducing English, you start preparing them for when they do go to schools. We've given them a huge jump start on, what's a difficult road ahead. Yeah, the first time I got to Ethiopia, the kids, we'd give them a blank piece of computer paper and some crayons, and they'd take one crayon and fill in this much of the paper because they don't get paper. They live in corrugated metal shacks that are 1 or 2 rooms, very small rooms. So even the concept of art is foreign to them, but the concept of creativity isn't. They're very special children based on the fact that they haven't been corrupted by anything. They're really pure. They're just loving and open. They have a great understanding for the importance of education, because education isn't a foregone conclusion in Ethiopia. 3% of Ethiopians get early childhood education, so I have found it even changes the community. These kids are the poorest of the poor. The government works with us to find the neediest children, and they always come to school groomed. Their hair's braided, they have on dresses. It might be the same dress that they wear every day, and it usually is, but there's a lot of pride that the whole community takes in the fact that their children are in school. And so the kids are very, they kind of hang on every word you have to say. They really are like sponges, wanting to learn and valuing that education, which again makes it such a joy. When you introduce creativity in a culture where it just doesn't exist and there's such little opportunity, you've engaged the whole brain and whole brain thinking. All of the schools I work in through ArtAid are TESFA schools, because ArtAid is a division of the TESFA Foundation. So I work primarily right now in Addis Ababa. We've gone into Debre Zeit a little bit. We have schools, as we being the TESFA Foundation, all over Ethiopia, but I'm only able to work in the capital because geographically it's incredibly difficult to get around and from place to place. So the dream, the long-term goal, is to be able to educate Ethiopians that will then take it into all of our schools. When I first got to Ethiopia, it was the only country I'd ever traveled to where I heard no so much, which I discovered had very little to do with, the people. They're wonderful, they're warm, they want to help you, but it had everything to do with them never being taught possibility and being ruled for so many years not to think. And so this concept of whole brain thinking and starting to open the brain up and engage them in other activities just was such a natural fit. And I've always said that had I arrived the first time and they didn't want art education, if it didn't fit, I would have packed up and left. But they wanted more. It was a big hit with the kids, as you can imagine. Kids just love art. They love the creative process. They love music. There are a lot of situations in Ethiopia when you're walking through a major city or even in the countryside that personally have gotten me very sad and made me feel hopeless. And there was one particular moment when I was walking through Mercado district of Addis Ababa, and Mercado is probably about the poorest neighborhood that I've come across. And I was just feeling a bit depressed and just like, gosh, what can I do? Is anything I'm going to do going to matter? And then I had an aha moment, which was about education, and I kind of looked around at everything I saw and thought, what if this neighborhood had been educated? Suddenly I felt hope thinking about education, and could this neighborhood be educated? And we do have a school in that neighborhood now, which happened 4 years after that, which was very exciting for me to see. And so yeah, this neighborhood can be educated, and the hope of a community is in the mind of a child. We're really fortunate to have Art Aid as an organization that is completely underwritten. So all of the money that we raise through the kids' art goes right back to the schools and right back to supporting their education. So that's a wonderful way, but when you buy a piece of art, then you have it once, and the donation is a one-time thing, where sponsorship is something that you can impact a child's life for forever. Sponsoring you can do through the website. That's the greatest way to go, but you can also contact myself or Dana or any of our board members, and we can point you in the right direction. But right on www.tesfa.org is the sponsorship program all laid out for you.